On June 3rd, 2025, something unexpected happened during South Korea's presidential election coverage. As voters across the country waited for exit poll results, NBC's Choice 2025 broadcast aired a short but powerful video titled That Day Together Now, 그날 함께 지금. The clip looked back on defining moments in Korean history, and right in the middle of it was RM's 2018 United Nations speech. For BTS fans, this wasn't just a cool throwback. It was a moment that said loud and clear that Kim Namjoon's words still matter, maybe now more than ever. So back in 2018, RM took the stage at the UN as part of BTS Love Yourself campaign with UNICEF. He encouraged young people everywhere to embrace who they are and speak up for themselves. Lines like, tell me your story, I want to hear your voice, and I want to hear your conviction, no matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, gender identity, speak yourself. And these lines stuck with fans long after the speech ended. It was personal, it was thoughtful, and spoke to a generation trying to find its voice. Now, fast forward to 2025, that same speech reappears in a nationally televised election broadcast, woven together with archival footage of Korean milestones. One especially striking moment was where RM's voice played right alongside the voice of Kim-gu, who's an iconic independence leader from the 1940s, who once declared, "We as a people are now stepping onto the global stage."
So, let's take all one more step.
Now that pairing wasn't random. Both men, in very different times and contexts, talked about identity, progress, and stepping into the world with confidence. And for ARMY, seeing Namjoon's words placed next to one of the country's most respected historical figures hit home. The response from fans was immediate and emotional, saying something like, Namjoon's UN speech was added in the national NBC election broadcast, OMG, Namjoon and BTS truly nation pride. Kim Namjoon's UN speech was added in the exit poll countdown on NBC election broadcast. Impact is undeniable. BTS is nation's pride. Reason many armies visit South Korea from all over. Army is so proud of you, BTS. BTS paved the way. I'm balling. BTS UN speech was included in the national NBC election broadcast. Nation's pride, BTS. So what stood out in many of these posts was a sense of shared pride, not just in BTS, but in seeing RM's voice included in such a serious national moment. To many people, it didn't feel out of place. It felt earned. Now, RM quoting Kim-gu wasn't new. Back in 2019, at the 6th E-Daily Culture Awards, RM received the grand prize for BTS and used his acceptance speech to reflect on the meaning of culture. He said, "Culture, to me, is the most powerful form of non-physical strength. It's what breaks down boundaries." Then he paused and added, "I was reminded of Kim-gu's words. The one thing I desperately wish for is the power of culture." It wasn't a throwaway line. RM was referencing a well-known passage by Kim-gu written in My Wish, where Kim-gu expresses his hope that Korea becomes a country admired not for its wealth or military might, but for its cultural depth and humanity. Said, "I do not want my country to be the most powerful or the richest. The one thing I desperately desire is the power of culture. Culture is what makes us truly happy and brings happiness to others." That moment in 2019 showed RM's awareness of Korean history and his belief in culture as a unifying force. And fast forward to 2025, and the fact that his own words were now being played alongside Kim-gu's during a pivotal national moment speaks volumes, I think. In that context, the countdown video wasn't just about marking time. It was about reminding viewers of what Korea stands for and where it's headed. Scenes from Son Gi-jung's marathon victory at the 1930 Olympics, the 1920 Battle of Cheongsanri, and other moments of resilience were paired with modern achievements like BTS's global rise. The editing, which was done in a split-screen style similar to Nike's You Can't Stop Us, it tied past and present together seamlessly. So by placing RM's speech at the center of that montage, the video positioned BTS not just as entertainers, but as part of Korea's broader story, past, present, and future. In hindsight, RM's UN speech wasn't just the highlight of BTS' career. It's become part of Korea's modern identity on the world stage. His thoughtful tone, his fluency in both language and emotion, and the way he spoke to young people, not at them, still resonates today, especially on a night when the country was deciding where it wants to go next. You know, BTS has always stood for more than just chart-topping hits. Since the very beginning, their music has touched on themes like mental health, social pressure, finding your place in the world, and democracy. In fact, the very first video that was uploaded on Bangtan TV's YouTube channel was by RM, who rapped to the instrumental of Kanye West's Power with his own lyrics, encouraging people to vote, though he couldn't vote at the time because he was only 19. His message was clear. Vote is yours, but future is ours. Which is exactly why I'm so excited, because we're about to see these members continuing to carry these messages with thoughtfulness, both in their lyrics and in how they present themselves on global stages. Lastly, before I wrap up, let me deliver the full translations of RM's award acceptance speech from 2019 and Kim Goo's historic passage from 1947 that RM quoted in his speech. Alright, first, RM's award acceptance speech from 2019, E-Daily Culture Awards. 3 years ago, we said we wanted to win in the concert category. And now, to be standing here with the grand prize, of course, I want to thank our army first and foremost for making that possible. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to win tonight, so I briefly thought about what I might say just in case. This kind of culture award ceremony feels both new and refreshing to us. And being here, surrounded by so many people working in the cultural field, it reminded me of a particular quote. Kim Goo once said, "The one thing I desperately desire is the power of high culture." I truly believe that culture is the strongest kind of intangible power, stronger than any physical force, because it has the ability to break down all boundaries. Not just the music I work in, but also traditional Korean music, musicals, dramas, theater, dance. As a fan and consumer of all these forms of culture, and as someone who breathes it in every day, I believe culture is what helps us become more human. It gives me inspiration, influences the music I make, and it reminds me of what it means to be human and to stay human. So even though it's just us on the stage right now, I hope we all remember the many staff members who help our artists behind the scenes, and above all, the fans and supporters who love and consume this culture. I honestly don't know if we deserve this award, standing among so many accomplished cultural figures. But I take this as a message to keep working hard, to share the power of Korean culture with even more people around the world. We will stay humble, stay grounded, and keep striving to be a better BTS. Thank you. And here is Kim Goo, My Wish, from 백범 일지, written in 1947. And it's from the passage called The Korea I Wish For. Let me read in Korean first. 내가 원하는 우리나라. 나는 우리나라가 세계에서 가장 아름다운 나라가 되기를 원한다. 가장 부강한 나라가 되기를 원하는 것은 아니다. 내가 남의 침략에 가슴 아팠으니 내 나라가 남을 침략하는 것을 원치 아니한다. 우리의 부력은 우리의 생활을 풍족히 할 만하고 우리의 강력은 남의 침략을 막을 만하면 족하다. 오직 한없이 가지고 싶은 것은 높은 문화의 힘이다. 문화의 힘은 우리 자신을 행복하게 하고 나아가서 남에게 행복을 주기 때문이다. 지금 인류에게 부족한 것은 무력도 아니요 경제력도 아니다. 자연과학의 힘은 아무리 많아도 좋으나 인류 전체로 보면 현재 자연과학만 가지고도 편안히 살아가기에 넉넉하다. 인류가 현재 불행한 근본 이유는 인의가 부족하고 자비가 부족하고 사랑이 부족한 때문이다. 이 마음만 발달이 되면 현재 물질력으로 20억이 다 편안히 살아갈 수 있을 것이다. 인류의 이 정신을 배양하는 것은 오직 문화이다. 나는 우리나라가 남의 것을 모방하는 나라가 되지 말고 이러한 높고 새로운 문화의 근원이 되고 목표가 되고 모범이 되기를 원한다. 그래서 진정한 세계의 평화가 우리나라에서 우리로 말미암아 세계에 실현되기를 원한다. And here's an English translation. I want our country to become the most beautiful country in the world. It doesn't have to be the most wealthy or the most powerful. I have felt the pain of being invaded. So I don't want to wish for my country to invade others. Our economic strength should be enough to ensure a decent life for our people. Our military strength should be enough to protect ourselves. But what I want, what I deeply, endlessly long for, is the power of culture. Because culture brings happiness to us, and it lets us share that happiness with others. The world today isn't suffering because of a lack of military might or economic power. The natural sciences have advanced more than enough. Humanity already has what it needs, materially, to live in comfort. The root of today's unhappiness lies elsewhere. It's in the shortage of compassion, kindness, and love. If only we could nurture those qualities, then the resources we already have would be more than enough to let all 2 billion people on Earth live peacefully. And the only way to cultivate that spirit is through culture. I don't want Korea to simply imitate others. I want it to be the source, the goal, and the model of a new and noble culture. I dream of a world where true peace begins in our country, and from us, it spreads to the rest of the world. I believe that's exactly what our founding ancestor, 당군, meant by 홍익인간, to benefit all humankind.